Welcome back to another episode of the Outsider Sports Baseball Podcast. Corey, Jason, John, Pauline, Dylan, Mel. Regular season is upon us. We are in the first series of the year, out of the way. Some teams fared better than others. Some of us here happier than others with how that first series went. But the most important thing to talk about, the most important thing is the regular season debut of the ABS system. Now, before we talk some specifics, how are we feeling about how it's been used so far?
Let me tell you, just like the Ghost Runner, this is a success. This is a W.
We're looking for you to look like an L.
It's an absolute win because it makes the game enjoyable, quicker / correct. You know, they do the call, they tap the helmet, and it's over in 4 seconds. Right or wrong?
You're right.
I love that aspect of it. I love that now, hey, you don't like the umpire, don't think he's giving you a fair shake? Do something about it. Can't prove him wrong. Can't prove him wrong. I think this is another Manfred W.
I mean, bait aside, you are right about how it's affected the game. You know, let's not give Manfred too much credit.
I mean, it's just back-to-back improving the game moves.
I mean, personally, I like
improving the game rules back to back. What's the other like?
I mean, the bigger base,
the bigger bases too. 3. I mean, the only thing this guy can't get right's the home run derby.
Although the Ghost Runner has bastardized extra innings, and none of those stats should count. But you know, as somebody who had a small role in the development of ABS back when it was in the Atlantic League, and it was used to call full games, it is really cool to be an unknown, unsung part of baseball history. Like, I still have the little earpiece that we would hook up to the umpire in those games, and he would hear, you know, ball and strike as they were developing the strike zone of a TrackMan. And seeing how far it's come since I did that in the summer of 2019 to now, it is really cool. You know, one of my favorite memories of that is this one baseball player. His name was Will Kenger. Now, he wasn't a minor leaguer. This was literally independent baseball. And he was one of the best players on the Somerset Patriots. First baseman. And he struck out on a pitch that he didn't like. So he, instead of looking at the umpire and yelling at the umpire, he turned around and started yelling at me in the press box. Now, I was at every game. And I would have to sometimes go down to the field, readjust stuff with the umpire. So everybody knew who I was and what I was doing. Yeah, I had the little credential that said, you know, my name, MLB on it. And I got yelled at by the players instead of them yelling at the umpires. And I thought that was awesome. I loved every second of it. So seeing how it's gone from that to now, the little 4-second tap of the head, it's a really cool evolution. And I think this is the best case scenario for it, where it's not taking away that human element.
Not yet.
Do you think you're going to add more challenges or completely replace the whole thing with it?
I do think we're going to see some slight tweaks.
I think eventually that guy is going to be there just to have the earpiece. I mean, if it's so accurate and it's 100% and we're getting the correct results and it's not disputable because it's working at that high of a level, I think eventually you're going to have the umpire at home plate. His job goes from the hardest to the easiest.
My only issue is, one of the best parts about baseball is that it's so strategy-based. You can't win on pure athleticism alone. You have to really think, and that's why it's always been called the thinking man's sport.
I'm not saying it happens next year.
No, of course. But I think this is one of those things where there are other unions involved. The umpire union isn't going to want to lose that. And I think that's going to be a major fight. And nobody wants to see replacement umps. You know, we're facing the NFL season with replacement.
Don't need them. I mean,
we don't have.
Could throw me or you back there. I'm just if like you don't want to see replacement umps. Well, if it's just somebody that's calling balls and strikes with an earpiece, it kind of doesn't matter who it is. But you want to have a real umpire back there because, hey, let's say for whatever reason at Blue Jays Orioles, ABS system's down. Now what?
And that was literally a large part of my job when we were developing it, was when the system would go down, log what the umpire called versus what the system called. Did the umpire say a strike when it was a ball? Was it vice versa? How did everybody react to it? And I thought that was one of the most interesting parts, and that's why I'm so against replacing the total system, because the strike zone, and we've seen this now with a lot of the ABS overturned, we're talking centimeters, balls that barely clip the zone, that like nobody
It's
would
like a tenth of it, like a tenth.
Right. Nobody would say, okay, that's a strike, even though, by the letter of the law it is. And I think that fluid zone, not completely, like I've seen clips of the ABS system superimposed over of pitches from the 90s and seeing how big that zone was. But having rounded corners makes a lot more sense. I've seen some people say we should have a rule where, 10% of the baseball needs to be inside the zone for it to really be a strike.
I think I was going to say, I think what's more important for the zone with the umps is not whether if they're getting like the exact correct strike zone, but more if they're calling their strike zone that they have for that game, like all game, it's the same strike zone.
Right.
Yeah.
More so than getting like the actual, whatever the actual strike zone is supposed to be. I feel like if they're just getting the one there.
Well, I mean, you could ask Salvador Perez, though. He's out here teaching umpires what the bottom of the strike zone is.
Yeah, that has been the most challenged portion of the zone, and that should surprise nobody.
Yeah, I mean, Salvi came out and said that, and I'm sure other catchers feel this way, up and down is going to be way easier for these catchers to challenge than right to left.
I don't know if you guys ever umpired Little League at all.
I coach. I didn't.
Like when I was younger, one of my first jobs was as a Little League umpire. And, I remember sitting back there with the gear on umpiring, and, we're talking umpiring 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds. And, up, not that difficult, but down, you can't really see. You're guessing half the time because you have your gear plus the catcher blocking the part of the zone where you kind of have to see the pitch come in, but you're not sure where it lands because it's impossible to see it. Somebody's in front of you blocking that view. Side to side, you kind of get that. Up, again, you see that, but down, it's almost an educated guess based on where you last saw that pitch. And it's very, very difficult. But there's somebody who had more of a difficult time than anybody else. And I want to know, do you guys think CB Buckner is going to light himself on fire in a game at a protest? He had 8 calls challenged, 6 of them overturned in the Boston-Cincinnati game last week. Eugenio Suarez overturned back-to-back strike 3 calls to extend an inning, which ended up leading to a Reds win. It's insane how poorly he did, Buckner. Somebody who's been around a long time.
Well, I think it's good, though. I mean, these guys got to be accountable. Like, if you are doing such a bad job as an umpire that on this podcast we are mentioning you by name, then get better at your job, man. Because there was a lot of other baseball series this weekend that had some overturned calls, and we're not talking about them. Not by name.
No, not by name. I mean, that was truly brutal, and I'm curious when we see our first ejection of a player tapping his head because either the umpire feels like they were shown up or the player did it too emphatically or said something. Like, that's got to be coming where a player challenges a call and gets tossed.
I don't know. I mean,
the umpire, how umpires are.
I know. I'm just. What could you say?
He tapped it too quick. He did it too hard. Like, it's coming where
would they still do the challenge though? Like, can you get a situation where they do the thing, gets thrown out, and then like the at bat still
the at bat would still be going and the challenge would still stand.
Like, yeah, but then if he's ejected, like what like if he gets like
just like if a player gets hurt, they get replaced mid at bat by a pinch hitter.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I
think
don't.
It's going to happen sooner than later. I think we're going to see one where the umpire feels that they are being shown up.
Do you think the umpires get better over time though with the ABS stuff? Like if they're getting called, like if it's a one specific call, they're getting completely overturned. Like, do they start recognizing?
I
Like,
think
because if you're looking, do you think they start recognizing and get better over time?
they're too set in their
with
ways.
the stuff?
I think that, from my understanding, the players and umpires both are kind of at a good spot with this, where they feel like it's egoless. It's just about getting it right. We'll see
thought they-
over 162 how that stands. You know, if Eugenio Suarez keeps running into an umpire that keeps striking him out, is there eventually a relationship where he's like, I'm being targeted and I just keep tapping my helmet?
All
But
that
did
is
they survey players though, and like the stuff that is like it's automatically the ABS, where it's not like full on, but only a certain amount of challenges? Or am I making that up?
You get two.
Yeah, but I thought didn't they wasn't this all like sort of like this was like what they have now was like they asked all the players and the umps what they were like thought it should be.
you're going to get a
I
I
wide
thought I
variety.
read that somewhere.
I don't recall where the number came to. I think two is fine. I think two is pretty similar. I think that's
Right.
how the NBA works with their challenges as
There
well.
are players though that still are speaking out against it, like Sonny Gray with the Red Sox.
Oh
He's-
my God,
how-
Chris Sale pissed me off.
Well, Sonny Gray saying how it creates a weird dynamic in the game and stops
Well,
the flow.
and Chris Sale, I'll never use it. Never. So if you
Well,
threw a clear strike and it was a fastball down the middle and it was called a ball,
That
you
did
would just-
happen with another. I think in
I'm
another
just saying,
game, it
you
was
do
like a,
you do nothing, huh?
Well-
Game 7 of the World Series.
You know,
You're
in a
gonna do
perfect
nothing.
world,
I don't believe you. Like,
Well-
maybe you won't, but guess who's going to tap his helmet? Drake Baldwin.
in a perfect world, the pitcher should never challenge a call because they are in the worst possible position.
I agree with that from a
Oh.
strategy standpoint. It should
Well,
only
just-
be the catcher.
Catcher, just because the pitcher is in a terrible position to see whether a
I
ball
think
is
on opening day we saw Freddie Peralta do challenge for the Mets, and he was correct.
I believe one of the Phillies relief pitchers also did a challenge on opening day, and he was incorrect, but it was by like a tenth.
How many challenges do you think we saw in the first 35 games of the season?
166. I was just a shot in the dark.
And when I say in the first 35, I mean literally every game played over the first weekend.
What? How many? Like you go, get two.
Teams get two, but you retain your challenges, so it's not like you only get two. You get two until you lose them, so you can keep challenging. And then also
166. That's my guess.
give me a number.
124.
It's been 124 challenges over the first 35 total games. What
ChatGPT.
I didn't look at. Hey, I didn't look it up. I just.
what percent were overturned?
57.
I'd say 78.
54% of calls have been overturned.
It's not bad.
So
Got-
honestly,
might get
that's
back.
not that bad. Like
No.
the umpires are still dictating the game. Players are still wrong, and I think that's a good thing. Like the closer to 100 you get of it being overturned, or the closer to 0 you get, that's the issue. If you stick in that like 40 to 60% zone, or really 45 to 55, I think that's where it adds value to the game, where it actually means something, where you're not
Yeah.
always going to be right or always going to be wrong.
Question for you here. And not that it's necessarily going to happen this way, but Game 7, World Series, 3-2 count, pitch is thrown, no swing, called strike, World Series over. I mean, how much is that going to kill the mood?
The same way it would on a world.
Because again, if it's a fly out or a swing and a miss, again, it might not happen, but there'll be a playoff series
Of course.
in the next 2 years that ends and then doesn't end.
I guess the way I can kind of relate it to is, what if it was a balk runner from third scores? That also feels just as dirty, in my opinion.
I mean, what if the challenge is unsuccessful? I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, of course.
the disrupting the flow that way is what's
Or
going to eventually go.
what would be worse, an ABS challenge to end the World Series or a pitch clock violation?
That's another good thing that Manfred's done. The pitch
That,
clock.
don't even
Like, you
start
can't
with
even
that.
say it with a straight face.
The,
Like,
I love the pitch clock, especially for regular season baseball.
I don't know. I feel like one of the few that missed the 5-hour Yankees Red Sox game.
No, see, I don't because my amount of baseball consumption has gone up. I watch 2 to 3 games a day now, and when they used to be 4.5, 5 hours long, I'm not kidding you. I'd watch one. I watch more baseball because the games are happening quicker.
On average, it's 15 to 20 minutes. It saves.
But over the course of 3 games, that's an hour.
I will say,
if it's an hour, that's deciding if you're going to watch the games.
yeah.
Hey, you can't deny the results.
You can't deny the results,
and viewership is there.
I think you can attack it.
Now they just got to get the game on TV.
Get it on TV, but I think the ABS works best when you're watching it on TV.
Yep.
But when you're at a ball game, that's where not the ABS, when the pitch clock, it works great when you're watching it on TV, but when you're at the ballpark, that's where it sucks.
Yeah, because being at the ballpark for a day used to be a thing.
Right. Now it's not.
Now it's not. So, that part for sure.
I do like the pitch clock when it comes to the West Coast trips and they got rid of the 10-10 starts for the most part, I believe, where the Yankees are playing in Seattle now.
They got rid of all the 1 o'clock starts. And, for everybody that has a normal 9 to 5, I'm sure that's fine. But for me who works from home, it gets real annoying when I was hoping for afternoon baseball to be on.
So going back to the ABS, though, do we think that it's exposing bad umpiring, or is it showing how tough being an umpire really is? Just because how close a lot of the overturned calls are.
I mean, nothing to me about it is changing my opinion on umpires. To be honest, I figured it was just kind of baked into the hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball. The hardest thing to do in officiating is probably to call a strike or a ball consistently on the edges. So to me, it doesn't make me view umpires any different. I'm just happy that we're getting the more correct outcomes and we can do it in an efficient way.
Yeah, especially in key moments when it could be the thing from either having another chance to score a runner or keep an inning going or have an inning end. So,
see, I think it has kind of changed my opinion on umpiring. I feel like it's shown that a lot of the missed calls are very, very tight to the point where you kind of have to give them some credit. That's a really close call. We're not talking about the majority of calls being 2 inches out of the zone or, in the middle of the zone. We're talking about fractions of an inch. And I think that shows how good of a job the umpires have been doing. And that should be surprising a lot of people with how close a lot of the things are, because you always see the bad calls be, shown everywhere, but you don't see those really tight missed calls.
Yeah.
Now, any final thoughts on the first series of the ABS?
Can we talk about how on Netflix the first ever use of the ABS no one saw it because they were doing an interview in the dugout?
The Netflix presentation. Oh man, I just got over it. I just forgot it existed. Could we just end it as Netflix doesn't know baseball?
Who is that for?
I mean, listen, Netflix believes, and I understand it in theory because it's correct a lot of the time, even with sports, in event-based marketing. And whatever you are showing needs to be an event or spectacle. It works for football. It works for fights and boxing that they've gotten into. They're not in the basketball game yet. I'm interested to see if it would work there. It doesn't work for baseball, especially not opening day, because let's just be honest, 1 out of 162 isn't as important as 1 out of 17 for football, and Netflix is getting these football games Christmas, week 16, when things are really mattering. yes, Yankees Giants opening night was fun. Is that game really going to matter at the end of the year? Not as much. So, and another thing, and this is all sports. When the game says it's going to start at a certain time, could we at least get within a 5 to 10 minute ratio? That game said it was going to start at 8, and I don't think the first pitch was thrown until 8:40. Netflix is lucky Garrett Cole started the season on the IL, or else he would have. Do you guys remember a couple years ago that national anthem that took like 10 seconds too long and he was like screaming? Oh my goodness, Garrett Cole would have been flipping taxis.
I just don't understand it because baseball, people always talk about the baseball
They're
pure.
going for the spectacle. Now they have the home run derby this year, so I bet that'll be.
sounds
I bet
interesting.
that will be good.
And they have
Now,
the Field of
They're
Dreams
just
game
not
too.
good at the game.
Right, and I think that's perfect. If Netflix wants to sponsor the
that's what
MLB
makes the home
Skills
run
Challenge,
And that's why the home run derby should go back to outs, not
Yes.
timed, because Netflix doesn't matter how long it runs, and let it be a
I
spectacle.
mean, actually, probably the longer it runs, it's probably better for them. Honestly,
I do think if the home run derby becomes a staple on Netflix, we will revert back to
I
the
pray.
old style.
Just the majestic home runs, Josh Hamilton, Robbie Cano.
Ben Rice.
Then one day I would bet Ben Rice wins the home run derby.
This
But-
year.
Maybe.
is
But
that a
I
bet you
think
can lock in right now?
with Netflix, though, with baseball, again, baseball, we talked about the purists, the people who don't want to see things change. There are a lot of people, including franchises, that believe opening day should start with the Reds, the oldest franchise in baseball.
Oh, I don't care about that, but it should start at 1:00 in the
Right.
afternoon.
Or how about the Giants requesting a day game to open it up? And MLB saying, no, you're going to play the Yankees at 8:00 at night. That's why they kind of made a snarky tweet about how on Friday, game 2 was really opening day for them because they were upset that they had to play that Wednesday. And to be fair, you should not have a standalone opening day game at night. Just open the season. Not everybody has to play. You can split it because you should have a day off after opening day, especially for teams that play outside because of the weather. Like that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Half the games played Thursday, half the games played Friday. Or build it there. That makes sense. Not Wednesday night where you have a standalone game, a game that isn't a marquee matchup. Like if you told me you're going to start Blue Jays Dodgers World Series repeat, opens the season, sure. Yankees Dodgers, Yankees Mets, Yankees Red Sox, Yankees Giants doesn't have juice. This isn't the Arson Judge opening day rematch. There is no storyline that connects it, and you felt that through the whole broadcast.
Hey, Barry Bonds was almost a Yankee until
That was the biggest
Steinbrenner told him at 2 p.m. deadline.
That was the biggest thing to come out of that game, and for Netflix, that was the worst possible thing. Nobody's talking about how awful their score bug was, that it looked like a cat.
No, people were talking about it, and it was awful.
The broadcast itself, wasn't great. The opening lineups,
well, we knew that wasn't going to be good.
Taxis,
to be fair, though, neither was NBC's opening lineup presentation with the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman and Miguel Rojas were supposed to come out in a car, and the PA announcer didn't get the memo because he said their names, and then they didn't come out. And then he was like, Freddie Freeman, and he still didn't come out because they were coming out in a car. So it's that one wasn't just on Netflix. That felt very MLB. Let's try and make the lineups a spectacle.
It's
not the '96 Jordan Bulls. Let's just have them out there and let's rock.
Baseball isn't 1 out of 82, 1 out of 17.
Yeah.
Baseball is 162 games. And then Netflix, for everything they did miss, the most historic aspect of that game, like John was saying. The first ABS challenge in history, they missed. They had to cut back to it because they were doing something else.
Yep.
And that's the issue with turning things into a spectacle. You see this during the playoffs too. I don't want to miss action. I don't want to miss pitches and hear you tell me about it after the fact. Show me the game. I don't want to hear you talk and show me, what Matt Vasgersian is doing on vacation. Like, show me the pitches. I don't care.
Wait, but did you see enough Bert Kreischer?
I've seen more than enough Bert Kreischer to last me a lifetime.
But did you see him drinking that Corona? Because they tried so hard to hide the label of that beer and failed so miserably.
Did you see him talk about being shirtless and be shirtless in the cold San Francisco Bay?
No, I missed that
What
part.
does Bert Kreischer have to do with baseball?
What doesn't Bert Kreischer have to do with baseball?
Like, I would have rather, Barry Bonds out in McCovey Cove drinking a Corona.
Yeah, Barry Bonds would not have rathered Barry Bonds out in McCovey Cove in March.
If you told Barry Bonds he can be in the Hall of Fame if he does that, he is taking a cannonball right in there from the top of the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they I liked Pujols. I liked the pre and post game and how they did that. I liked some of the insight we saw. I liked the booth they had with Pence and Sabathia. That was fine. Bringing those guys, they give good insight. But let's leave off some of the not baseball related things. Like, do we really need Thing from Adam's Family throwing out the first pitch, just a mechanical hand? Like,
hey, but Jey Uso yeeting, that was good.
See, people like that. That's called business synergy.
Yeah, it's also just Netflix, Adam's Family, WWE, Bert Kreischer comedy special. Let's put everything Netflix all over this broadcast.
You're going to get the guy who remembers the New York Giants and remember their move, that 95-year-old man. He's going to see, what is this hand? I must check out this TV show. I wonder how many people saw that opening pitch and was like, you know what? I got to check this show out.
I think by the time people finally saw the first pitch of the game, they were already annoyed. Because I was.
Let's talk about something a little less annoying. Because I'm getting agitated not thinking about Netflix and how the Yankees opening day.
It's my bad.
Seattle, Colt Emerson signed the biggest extension for a player to not yet play in the majors. MLB's number 7 prospect. It broke Jackson Churrio's record for biggest deal. It's 8 years, $95 million. It includes a 9th-year club option, a full no-trade clause, and it can reach $130 million plus with escalators. Do we like this concept of teams extending out younger players like this, buying out ARB and free agency? He's not going to be a free agent until he's in his 30s.
No.
I think it's good for. I mean, if the team thinks.
I think it's great for the team. I think it's great for the team. In a sport with no salary cap currently, I think it's absolutely wonderful for the team. I think the player has never seen that kind of money in his life, and then I think this is the Atlanta Braves. And this is the problem, right? And everything is speculative here, but in the past, the Braves have been accused of taking advantage of poor English-speaking players that come from very poor situations, throwing them a number that sounds good, like $100 million, and then they just sign the deal, and all of a sudden Ronald Acuna is one of the lowest paid superstars in the league.
I think there's one way to combat this where it still can be worked out by both sides. Limit these deals to where it ends when they would start free agency. So you can't buy out any free agency years, but if you think they're going to be a superstar, you can buy out their arbitration years where, Juan Soto made like 30 million, 35 million in arbitration his final year. You can buy that out for 17 million, but then you have to pay 17 million if they're not. Don't buy out any free agency years, and I think that's the way you kind of meet in the middle on it.
I don't think it's quite as bad as the franchise tag in the NFL because the player just has absolutely no say about that. Like, the player is willingly signing this contract. And ultimately, in this case, Emerson, if he's just a straight up bust, like, congrats, dude, because it didn't matter. you're set for life.
Yankees
And like
with
that,
Aaron Hicks.
and that risk to it for the team, I understand. And at the end of the day, like it is two very capable parties negotiating and agreeing to this deal. So at the end of the day, is anything going to change on it? No. But do I think that one, I think this is something that's going to happen a lot if there's a salary cap because these teams are going to try and lock up guys that they think could be really good. And then it's just going to be if you develop talent, your team is good. If not, you have a bunch of money invested in guys who can't play.
And lastly, we have Toronto starting pitcher Cody Ponce sprained his ACL in his first MLB start since 2021. Spent 22 through 25 in Japan, finally made it back and sprained his ACL. Not ruled out for the season, but he had to get stretchered off the field.
Yeah, it looked way worse than it was.
He got very lucky. Let's talk shop now. Let's start it off. Ben's not here, so we'll start off with the Mets. We'll talk about the Metropolitans. Started off the season 3-1 as we go to record this. They went 2-1 versus Pittsburgh, 1-0 versus St. Louis. They scored 22 runs, gave up 15, a +7 run differential.
3-2 currently, actually. Lost today.
3-2.
Officially.
Top of the lineup.
Was very late.
Yeah, I didn't update with, today's scores.
Yeah.
Not totally. I do have the Phillies because John made sure I updated the Phillies and the Yankees are ongoing.
Yes. The Mets lost 3-0 to the Cardinals.
So the Mets, top three in their lineup, their best guys not playing very well. Lindor, Soto struggling. Luis Robert playing pretty well.
Yeah. Thanks to your advice, I dropped him from my fantasy team after drafting him in the last round. And now my opponent has him. Yeah, you. Because I texted you about my team, and you were like, Robert.
I need to fact check this.
Or we talked about it on the last podcast, I think, when I was going over my lineup, and you were like, Luis Robert.
We did talk about it the last time.
And you remember his reaction to Robert.
Yes.
He was disgusted by the fact he was on my team. So
I like Robert.
No. So
Too bad we didn't record.
So I cut Robert. Now, to be fair, cut him for early on the Red Sox, the pitcher.
Maybe that was what it was. You said Robert.
No, I didn't tell you who it was going to be cut for. I just
I would
told
have
you
said early.
Yeah. And he was fine, but could be using Robert's production at the plate right now. That's for sure. But I digress. The Mets. I don't want to say it's a fully disappointing start to the year because they are still above 500. They are still 3-2 at this point in time, and the issues that they're having, I believe, are going to be fixed because they're just too talented not to be. And we say the top of their lineup struggling. Juan Soto is batting 381. So
I am going off of when I talk to friends that are Met fans.
I mean, Bo Bichette's been a disaster. He's batting .091 currently. Francisco Lindor continues to not be good at the beginning of seasons, batting 176. And that's just where it is. Like Robert and Soto have been the main pieces. Even Jorge Polanco hasn't been good for this team. Do I think Lindor will turn it around? Yeah, he does every single year. Do I think Bo Bichette will bat better than .091? Yeah, I do. Though I do have my doubts that his best ever season is behind him in his career. I think that that's very much a real possibility. The Jorge Polanco situation does kind of concerns me because I just don't know if that's going to turn around. Him and Simeon both. I could see both of them just not being good all year and it just being wasted money for the Mets.
It's possible. I think again, Lindor, Soto, you're not worried about. But on that offense, who else do you really have confidence? Like Bichette, you would think, but also you're playing him out of position. We know Jazz has talked about how mentally that has hurt his offensive game when he's playing a position he's not comfortable with that he doesn't like.
I mean, I think some of the young guys give some reason to be happy. I think Brett
Carson
Beatty's been
very good.
solid. Benj was really solid. And Francisco Alvarez, the catcher, he's batting 300. He already has a home run on the year. So I do think that there are some young pieces there that the Mets can be excited about. Again, we're talking about a lineup that I think we all know when it returns to the mean is going to be one of the best lineups in baseball. I think the question has kind of just always been the pitching for the Mets, which has been pretty solid to open up the year, but it appeared to be kind of fool's gold last year. So, how much do you put stake in that this year?
Now the Phillies. Phillies started off 2-3, 1-2 versus Texas, 1-1 versus Washington. They're about 2 games back of the division. 17 runs scored, 31 runs against, minus 14 run differential. Are you panicking, John?
No, it's really early. I mean, Sanchez had an amazing start, 10 strikeouts, and how many for 6 innings was it?
Yeah, he was really nasty.
He looked so good. And I'm glad because if you looked at some of the other people that played in the WBC, they were having a rough start to the season there. So for him to come out and play like he did, it was fantastic. And the bats looked really good that first game too, and then everything just fell apart the next 2. I mean, Nola went back to his kind of self with I think 7 strikeouts, 2 home runs given up, and then no one hit. And then he went back to then Luzardo's given up runs.
Yeah, I mean, the Nationals have opened up the season pretty hot, though. So, a guy like Luzardo, who was so consistent last year, I'm willing to give it some time. Aaron Nola and Taijuan Walker can't be in a playoff rotation for a World Series team. That's kind of where I've been at with them. I mean, Taijuan Walker probably shouldn't be in a regular season rotation for a good team.
He at most is a bullpen, long reliever kind of guy. I mean, he's just there because Wheeler's hurt, but I think once Wheeler come back, he's on the bullpen. But I do want to talk about 3 years in the making tonight. 3 years in the making, finally. I think it's almost as like since we've been doing this podcast. Painter finally made his MLB debut in a start.
Who?
Painter.
Never heard this guy
Andrew
mentioned.
Painter. Finally made a start. He's supposed to we're looking at maybe 3 years ago, but then he got
Is he
hurt.
a prospect or something?
They're top prospect.
he was shoving.
He came out 4 1/3 innings, only 4 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, 1 earned run, but it was a funky way because he gave a base hit up, then Thompson pulled up, put Banks in. Banks gave a hit up. Garcia, I think Abrams was rounding second to go to third, and Garcia threw it and a hit off Abrams, went out of play, so he scored. So, and then obviously the run got charged to Painter, so it really wasn't Painter's
Got to be better,
fault.
Painter.
Yeah, but I mean, he had a great game, got the win. I mean, he's looking, if he plays like this for the whole year, you might see him in a playoff game. He might,
100%.
for sure.
For the Phillies.
Yes.
Make sure.
He's not going anywhere.
I would reckon if the Phillies make it past the wild card round, you'll definitely see Painter in a playoff game.
Yeah, because he's looking just like everyone, how all the Phillies fans thought he was going to be. And he showed up big. And I am really, really, really excited.
Yeah, that's a big positive. I think Justin Crawford has looked really solid as well. So the 2 young guys, and you talked a ton about Painter. I am going to kind of rain on the parade here because Corey's initial question was, are you worried about the Phillies? And my answer is yes. And my answer is only yes because the prior concerns that I had going into the season are already popping up with this lineup where the struggles that they have to open this season are the same struggles that we've seen kill them in the playoffs already. The top of this lineup is not a productive group of guys together right now. Turner, Harper, Schwarber, boom. That's 1 through 4. Not a single one of them is batting over 200.
No, but Schwarber does have 2 home runs.
Yeah, he does. I mean, and listen, if one of those guys is going to turn it around and get up to 250 and hit 45-plus home runs, it'll be Schwarber. I'm not denying the talent there, but this formula, and I know it too well as a Yankees fan, is not productive come playoff time. And again, it's a long season. They could turn it around, but was the exact concern that I had about them and why I had them third in the division.
I think I'm more concerned about the bullpen because you have your top pitchers in the bullpen that don't look very sharp. Duran didn't look sharp until tonight.
Yeah.
And
And
Alvarado's
speaking
out
of
giving
ABS,
runs.
by the way, well, who's the guy that bats eighth in the Nationals lineup? Winker, right?
I think I can check right. I can check right. I have it pulled up.
Weimer.
Joey Weimer.
It was the count was 2-1, 2 balls, 1 strike. Duran throws a nasty pitch, but it is pretty clearly a ball. And Weimer is, and I don't know if the Nationals ran out of challenges.
They did run out of challenges. They ran out of
challenges
by like the third inning or something.
Because this is something to where strategy comes into play. He was pissed that it was called a strike, and I understood it, but maybe don't blow through your challenges by the third inning, buddy.
I think it was really early, and they were out of challenges so early.
Because that easily would have been a 3-1 count to Weimer, who's been, he's batting .615, so he's been one of the hottest hitters in baseball. So, just an interesting note there from the Phil's game today. But
like I say, in the bullpen, though,
I'm really liking the young guys. At top of the lineup, man. All my fears for them are coming true in week 1.
It's still early, so
the concern that I have isn't that they're going to stay here all season, but this cold streak that this
hits them in the playoffs
can have has gotten them bit every year since they've been. Since they've been in the World Series versus Houston. Like this top of the lineup, it hasn't been the pitching. The bullpen hasn't been amazing, but I'm not blaming. Yes, Orion Kirkring made the crappy play versus the Dodgers, but what killed them was the fact that their lineup couldn't compete with the Dodgers, despite the talent being there, and we're seeing it again. That's my concern.
Now let's talk Yankees. Yankees, 3-1, currently up 5-0 to the Mariners.
Yep.
Went 3-0, swept the Giants. Lost last night on a walk-off single by Cal Raleigh. They're 0-1 versus Seattle coming into today. 14 runs scored, so the offense a little anemic. Only 3 runs allowed over the first 4 games. That's a plus 11 run differential. And if your offense isn't going to hit, you might as well just throw shutouts.
Yeah, Max Fried got to be opening up his Cy Young case early on.
6 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk today with 6 strikeouts.
Yep. He's been phenomenal. Obviously Aaron Judge hasn't been great, but am I betting against Aaron Judge to figure it out? No, I'm not. This lineup scored the most runs in baseball last year. They've opened up the offense a little bit tonight, 5 runs against a Mariners team with Logan Gilbert on the mound. So it's not exactly a bad pitcher out there. The strength of the Yankees this season, come the summer, will be their starting pitching. And it's kind of why I believed in them to make a run out of the AL this year, because going into a playoffs with Garrett Cole back healthy, with Max Fried pitching at the level he pitched at last year even, but this year it feels like he's been even better to start. Cam Schlittler was nails.
Looked every bit like an ace.
And some version of Rodon, who, another hamstring injury, so I can't pen him in for playoff time, but Rodon, Schmidt, Heel, Weathers, you only need 4 guys for the playoffs. And I think you could make the case that they have the best 4-man starting pitching rotation in the AL when healthy. And it's great to see. For the Yankees, being able to win this way is crucial.
It's massive. You need to be able to – you can't rely on your offense, and we've seen that. The Yankees outside of Judge, when Judge isn't playing well, the Yankees don't tend to play well. Now you have Stanton hitting over 500. I believe he leads the league in singles.
Yeah, I mean, but Judge is batting 150, Grisham 235, which again, just get
Bellinger's
this man
hitting over 300.
353. Ben Rice is 308. Stanton 526. Jazz 167. So I mean, it is coming from the center of the lineup, which is fine. There's
Right.
no complaints about that.
And if you can have them all playing well while Judge isn't and carrying that weight, you know that when Judge finally does turn it around, he can just carry you for 2 weeks straight without anybody else helping him.
And I would, we're 1 week in, so is it week one overreactions to a lot of things? I'm sure it is. We've all missed baseball, but this has the makings of a 100-win team. I mean, I'll say it. Do they need some additional arms in the bullpen? Yeah. Because when you have a starter that goes 4 or 5 innings the way Weathers did, you don't have enough guys to close out that game. That's what happened versus Seattle. But that's got to be the easiest thing in baseball to get is a couple relief pitch. I mean, you don't even need high leverage guys.
No.
You just need a couple guys.
And I think if this game was played in August, the Yankees win because you don't, shy away from using.
Yeah, and I think, but I also think similar to last year where they had Williams, they had Weaver, they still made the moves to get Duvall, get Bednar. I don't think the Yankees have ever been shy about making moves for relief pitching at the deadline. Well, we've got on them about not making some splash moves and times in the past, but getting a couple 7th inning relievers, yeah, that's exactly what they have been doing at the deadline. So I feel really solid about where the Yankees are today. And honestly, if they close out this game against Seattle to be 4-1 over your first 5 games, when Aaron Judge has been just bad, it is a really good sign for this team.
And I'm not worried. I think Judge I trust more than any player to turn it around. The pitching is something that I really wanted to see work out. Schlittler, I was worried that, what we saw last year in the playoff game was a one-off. And I think without him showing you him able to do it, it's fair just to have that scare that could it just be one big game? But no, he looked just like an ace. He looked like somebody who could dominate lineups for years.
Oh, yeah.
I think having Garrett Cole on this team in his ear is a huge benefit.
I mean, Schlittler said that. I don't know if you saw the interview that he had prior to his start.
I didn't see it this year. I remember him bringing it up last year.
He sat down. Who was it? Who was like their the female correspondent? Yeah, she sat down with him, and he brought it up, and he said that he's very excited for Garrett to be back this year and to get to watch him from the dugout in action.
Cole is going to make a great coach if he chooses to someday. And I think he's going to come back much sooner than expected. The original timeline was June.
I mean, they put him on the 15-day IL for a reason. They didn't do the 60 for a reason.
Like, just imagine Cole comes back first week of May. Like, we know this isn't an injury thing now. He is fully healed. It's about building him back
to ramp up.
If he can ramp up enough, I'd rather him almost have that rehab in the majors than in the minors, because having him back, even if he can only throw, 60 pitches, is such a benefit where you can piggyback Weathers or Yarborough to him and win games that way. When Heel comes back, what does Heel do? The Yankees are in a decent position. Now it's only been 5 games now. I think we need to see more, but I'd like to see the offense wake up a little bit more. Just, you're winning, but,
yeah, for sure.
2 run yesterday. You exploded for 5 runs today. Just start dominating a little bit more. Like the home runs for a team that is built on home runs.
But what I'm talking about, like the way they're winning is different than what I thought that they were necessarily capable of in years past, which is excellent to see.
Timely hitting, runners in scoring position.
Good base running, stealing bases.
Yeah. These are things that the Yankees haven't
This
really
is what the manager of the year, Aaron Boone, is doing.
All right. On that note, I think it's time to stop talking about the Yankees when you start getting some crazy talk going. Let's talk about some other teams that we think deserve a little loving. For me, I think the Brewers are a team we really need to key in on. Started off 3-1. They swept the White Sox, as you should.
Yeah.
Started off 0-1 versus Tampa, but on opening day, the Brewers struck out 20 of the 27 possible
I
outs.
mean, Mizorowski,
11 strikeouts.
he's such a
And then
dog, dude.
even to bookend that series in the last game of the series, they scored 9 runs to come back and win the game. And finish off that sweep. The Brewers are a team that, I can't speak for you guys. I kind of left for dead a little bit. I didn't think that they were going to be that good. And I don't know if this is going to be an inverse of last year where they looked really bad to open the season off, and now they look really good. So a bad start leads to a good finish. A good start leads to a bad finish. That's entirely plausible. But the Brewers look like a fun team and every bit of a team that had the best record in baseball last year.
Yeah, man. I think this is a situation where them and the Cubs probably are battling for this division down to the wire again, and it feels like they could easily both be playoff teams again. And I don't think any of us picked that to be the case. I think we all picked the Cubs to win the division and the Brewers to miss the playoffs. But I think when you start to talk about, I think a lot of us had 3 teams out of the NL East. I know me and John did. The Braves, Phillies, Mets. I don't know if third place gets you into the playoffs the way that the Cubs and Brewers are playing. I think you got to be a top 2 seed. And the same thing goes for the teams in the NL West. The Dodgers are kind of in, and you better finish in second. And maybe that's not even enough because the NL Central has been really solid to open up the year. And the Brewers are kind of just picking up where they left off. I think a little bit of recency bias of watching the Dodgers dominate them made us kind of think that they were fool's gold, but still over the course of a regular season, this is just a team that plays the game the right way.
And it's like every year, I think we always think that the Brewers are going to keep progressing, but every year they come out and they just play good baseball. And now with Mizorowski, they have a ton of young, good players coming up still. So, even though they lost guys, it's just like they haven't skipped a beat, have not skipped a beat.
And talk about success as an organization. You go from Burns to Peralta to now to Mizorowski without skipping a beat.
It just one ace to another ace to another ace. You're
It's an embarrassment of riches. It's a great succession. What other teams do we think we want to discuss that had a really good start?
Much to the chagrin of John, I'm unfortunately going to bring back up the Phillies opening series because I think the Texas Rangers are worth bringing up. They're a team that I didn't predict to make the playoffs, and 1 week into the season, I'm kind of like looking at myself like, you idiot. This team had like such a great run differential last year. They were so competitive. The lineup on paper is really solid. You know that their pitching could be really good, and you just throw them to the wayside, and you pick the Houston Astros, which, listen, the Astros are 4-2, so I don't hate it that much, but I was really impressed. The Rangers just bullied the Phillies. And do I think the Phillies are a World Series team? No, but I think that they're a playoff team, and the Rangers just bullied them. Corey Seager's off to a phenomenal start to the year. Jake Burger's batting .409 with 6 RBIs. Nimmo, talk about being on the wrong end of a deal. Marcus Semien, not playing good for the Mets. Nimmo batting .364 for the Texas Rangers right now. They've had a lot of solid pieces. Andrew McCutchen, this guy was just left for dead in free agency. He's batting .455 with 4 RBIs
during a Furry suspension.
10 total bases. So he's just been really solid. The pitching was pretty good. I think the worst pitching performance, if I'm not mistaken, might have been it wasn't DeGrom. It was Eovaldi. But what you saw out of Gore and Leiter, 2 young pitchers for your future, I think Texas could make some noise this year, man.
Did DeGrom get a start? Because I know he was they scratched his start. Did he start yet?
I think he started today. He started today because Pete Alonso's first home run as an Oriole was off of Jacob DeGrom. And he went 4 2/3 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, a 5.79 ERA. So not an amazing start. But again, I do think Jack Leiter was just nails, man. I mean, 6 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. But I think Texas is a real player in the NL West, and I don't think this show gave them enough credit going into the season.
I don't think we did either. I think we thought it was a 2-team race. Even looking back at how we, ranked this division, Dylan, you had the Rangers finishing 4th place.
Yeah.
Now, John, you and I both had them in 2nd place. But Dylan is, making up for it now, giving them their flowers and almost changing his opinion because they really have looked great to start off the year.
Yeah, and I mean, silly me going with the Athletics over a team that had the best run differential in the division last year. Must have been talking to Ben too much.
So, John, who do you think who do you want to do? Who do you want to discuss?
I talked about him before with the season, about a team like not to sleep on. I'm talking about again the Pirates, just because they kind of had a weird start to the season there with Paul Skeens kind of was it with his shortest career start. He got pulled during the 1st inning.
Shout out O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, you have O'Neal Cruz out there in the outfield, no sunglasses, losing balls. Like I don't know. Like he should have caught both of those. Yeah. Especially the second one where it was like the
second one was right next to him.
That was right next to him. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Skeens was throwing strikes. At most, even if Cruz gets those things, he's still giving up about 2 runs.
I mean, he's got a 67.5 ERA. So
yeah, but I don't think that's really inclusive, like conductive of what actually happened. In the game.
I agree.
If you're a Pirates fan, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like he's going to bounce back, and I think that their pitching is like it was last year, would be really good because like the additions they added this offseason look like they're starting to pay off. I mean, you have Brandon Lowe has 3 home runs. You got Ryan O'Hearn with 2 home runs.
I mean, the Pirates have more runs scored right now than the Dodgers. So do with that what you will.
That is.
They'd have played an extra game, but do with that what you will.
They're 2-3. They got a -2 run differential. I mean, but right now they're really living and dying by the home run ball.
Yeah.
And they're still leaving a lot of guys on base. But I mean,
people had some faith in that they were going to be better.
Yeah, I wouldn't lose that faith quite yet. I think like John mentioned, like they're 2-3, but one of those losses is the worst ever Paul Skeens performance.
And then the other loss is, or one of their rookie pitchers blew a save. Yeah, I think, and they were winning.
It's a growing team, but it's a young team, and these losses do add up, especially if they keep happening kind of in this way.
Yeah, I mean they had a good win tonight, 8-2 over the Reds. So were their bats. I mean, O'Neal Cruz hit 2 home runs. O'Hearn hit the home run tonight. I mean, as long as that home run ball's going, if they can start putting together like at bats and get players on base, I mean, and not leave runners in scoring position, I mean, you're looking at they can start putting some wins together if they stay consistent.
Absolutely. Sure. Now let's move on to our studs and duds. We highlighted some teams. Let's highlight some players. Starting it off, I want to talk about somebody that, we brought up a little earlier, Washington outfielder Joey Wiemer. In his 4 games coming into today, 12 at-bats, 8 hits. He walked 4 times, hit 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. He's hitting .667 with a 2.063 OPS. Somebody to keep an eye on. These stats aren't, he's not going to be able to do this all year. But for Washington, who people thought were going to be one of the worst teams in baseball, he's showing that they do have some life and some really good players. On the flip side, my dud, reigning Rookie of the Year, Nick Kurtz of the A's, the first baseman, 5 games, 16 at-bats. He's got 1 hit, struck out 11 times, hitting .063 with the .313 OPS. He's going to turn it around, but it's a bad showing for his sophomore campaign.
Yeah, for sure. My stud, I'm taking the opportunity while I can, while he's out there playing, Mike Trout. I mean, he's looked like vintage Trout. We saw the diving catch in the outfield at the plate. He's batting 300 right now. In 6 games, he has 9 walks. The OBP is at an astonishing 517 right now. OPS 1.117. 2 home runs already for Trout. My dud, listen, did he have a walk-off hit against the Yankees? He did. Is that, indicative of how he's been performing? It is not. Cal Raleigh, man, following it up a season that many thought he should be the MVP. He's batting 176, no home runs, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts. My dud, Cal Raleigh.
My stud, who I kind of just talked about a little bit before, is a Pittsburgh Pirate, Brandon Lowe. I mean, 6 for 18, 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, 4 walks, batting 333 with a 1.344 OPS. So, I mean, obviously, of course, I'm not going to hit like that, but if he keeps, it up and keeps hitting those home runs, I mean, really could help the Pirates out a lot there. Now, my stud, for how good as a Ranger, for how good the Rangers have been playing, there's a player on their team who's been absolutely terrible. Third baseman Josh Jung, 0 for 17, 7 strikeouts, and then just zeros across the board. Like, just zeros everywhere. 0 hits, 0 average, everything. Not
good.
Not good at all.
Now, let's talk about some rookies, because we talked about who we think is going to be the rookie of the year. I want to highlight a rookie each week that we think should be talked about. And I want to start it off with Chase DeLauter, Cleveland's right fielder. Where did we hear this name before? That's right. He was my rookie of the year pick. I think he's had an outstanding start to his career. 4 home runs, 5 RBIs in the first, few games of the season. He's somebody who I think can not necessarily keep this rate up, but will be somebody who could be an all-star. Cleveland has a very, very good player in the corner over there.
Yeah, the rookie I want to bring up, Murakami. Where have we heard this before? Oh, yeah, my rookie of the year. Batting 278, 3 home runs, 4 RBIs. Currently 9th in baseball in OPS, 1.187. How you doing?
Does this mean John's going to talk about you Savage or JJ Weatherholt?
No, I'm going to talk. I maybe can talk about Weatherholt, but I'm going to talk about third baseman for the Reds, Sal Stewart. He's 9 for 16, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 6 walks. He has a 1.807 OPS. So I mean, I don't know if I don't think any of us talked about him, but he's coming out really strong out the gate here.
He is. Now, a couple moments to talk about this week because the first week's been full of a lot of crazy things. We talked about CB Buckner. We talked about the Netflix debacle. Let's talk about how the Astros, they're facing an 0-3 start. They were struggling. They scored 11 unanswered runs. They were down 6 at the end of about 4 2/3. And then they scored 8 runs later in the game after having 2 outs in the 6th. They scored 11 unanswered runs to avoid the sweep. And I think that's something that an offense needs to really get back on track and start feeling confident. Scoring, double digits in baseball, happens, but it's always fun to see. And 11 unanswered is pretty wild.
Yeah, and, it got them on track. They lead the league in runs scored right now at 39. So the offense is booming. Only somebody with a real forethought mind would have picked them to finish above the Mariners, I would suggest. My moment of the week is from Mike Soroka, pitcher for the Diamondbacks, had an immaculate inning. And at the end of the day, 9 pitches, 9 strikes, 3 strikeouts. You don't see that too often. When it happens, I'm going to talk about it. It's, just one of the most impressive feats I think you could do in baseball. You need some luck on your side. I'm not going to say that you don't, but for a lot of things in baseball you do. But immaculate inning, we got to talk about it.
My moment of the week is involving something new to baseball, the ABS system. When Aaron Boone got thrown out of the got ejected from the game after the Yankees overturned, I believe, 5 calls with the ABS system because he chirped the ump, and the ump threw him out after a correct
And there's
call.
that ego.
Classic Booney.
I just think
I mean,
it's crazy.
I mean, I think
Oh,
Boone's got a fair point. If you keep getting him wrong, maybe adjust your zone.
I believe the Twins manager also got thrown out over an ABS thing too.
I mean, hey, the managers got points here. If 5 calls are being overturned in a row, maybe adjust your zone. Boone doesn't like the ABS system.
But he got thrown on a pitch that was like a tenth. It was like a tenth of a thing like off, and he got.
Well, Boone doesn't like the ABS system to begin with, so he's hating the fact that like this is delaying the game over and over again. But he's right.
But also, a manager of the year knows the zone. So whether it's a 10th in or a 10th out, the manager of the year will know the best.
I will give Boone credit here. He's always been willing to stand up for the players, and he's usually in the right when he does it.
He does, but he does also make it seem a little corny when he does it too. Like, he does think to himself, I haven't been thrown out in a while. Time to get tossed, fire the boys up. Maybe it's in this contract that he needs to be tossed every 12 games or so.
Whatever gets him going.
Mariners just challenged the strike call in the game, and the call was confirmed, so they lost the challenge, and it was pretty solidly in the zone as well. So that's pretty funny.
Nice,
but nothing for Boone there to argue. Went in his favor. Let's highlight a series. John, lead us off. What series do you want to highlight?
Well, we're going to highlight the thing of a team that a lot of us think is a playoff team, and a team that none of us think was a playoff team at the start of the season, but we were talking about earlier that might be a playoff team. The Brewers and the Royals. So one team that might be a playoff team, one team that we had locked in, but so we'll see.
What do you think about that run differential currently? Milwaukee, 37 runs scored. Kansas City, 9. I mean, that feels like a series that could get ugly.
Very much well so.
I want to highlight a series that it's kind of been ugly for these two teams right off the bat. Two teams that I think a lot of us thought had playoff potential that have opened the season really bad. The Boston Red Sox at 1-4 will play host to the San Diego Padres, who are currently 1-3, but it's the bottom of the 7th, and they're down 8-3 to the Giants. So, if things hold, they will also be 1-4. And if one team were to dominate this series, it's never over. But man, you start a season 2-10, 3-12, something like that. It is a tough hill to climb, especially in those two divisions, man. For Boston, you got New York and Toronto off to good starts. And for San Diego, the Dodgers, obviously the Dodgers. I mean, the rest of the division's been pretty bad, so a little bit more room for them there. But two teams that I thought had high expectations coming into the year that have been performing bad. Interested to see if one of them could turn it around.
For me, I'm going a classic NL West matchup. The Seattle Mariners, who, I believe everybody thinks is going to run away with the division, versus those Rangers that we spoke about earlier who came at the gate hot. Mariners, Rangers, I'd say just about everybody.
The battle for second place in that division.
Well, true, because the winner gets first place.
No. The Astros, it's their time to return. Empire strikes back.
Seattle, Texas. I think that's going to be a fun matchup. Seattle has a great pitching staff. Texas, a very good offense. I wonder how that's going to match up, especially early on. These are the matchups you really look forward to in September. So to get one in April where they could, be a big factor down the line because they're tied or they're close. This series right now or later in the week is going to be one we look at months from now as a big key in who goes to the playoffs, who is home, who's a wild card, and who wins the division.
Yeah,
this has major implications for the whole season, and it's only going to be the second week of April.
Yep, time to turn it around for my fantasy team, J-Rod. Let's go.
after this series.
Yeah, spent a first round pick on you. Let's go, buddy. Hey
But,
man, Tatis, letting me down.
That's a shame. That's a shame. I did a fantasy team too this year, 4-team league. You draft the team, and then you have to let it ride the whole season. You can't do waivers. You can't set your lineup. You draft and you go. So that led to some interesting decisions
Yeah.
because you
Was-
can't pick up guys. I
was-
got Garrett Cole.
Was Connor Griffin drafted?
Connor Griffin was not drafted because you had 4 teams.
Yeah. No, I'd imagine the rosters are a little deeper.
Nope, because
Oh.
you don't have no bench spots.
Mm,
So you have you do have 2 catcher positions
fair.
for fun. I do have Ben Rice as one of my catchers.
Nice.
But that's going to do it for us. First week in the books. Back at it. We'll be covering, everything to go on for the rest of the year. Hopefully, some of us are right, some of us are not right, and this ends with, at least one of our teams being happy at the end of October, preferably me. But let's hope it's not the Dodgers again, right?
We can hope.
We can hope. But that'll do it. John Pauline, Dylan, Mel, Corey, Jason signing off for the Outsider Sports Baseball Podcast.